What's up, it's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is gonna be my January wrap up. We're on my couch again today. I did my December wrap up also in this location, so it might be a new thing. Can we talk about my new knife earrings? Love them, love them. And then my new Luke's Gilmore Girls crew neck. Joey just got this for me as one of his Valentine's Day gift. Super cute. He is out grocery shopping right now, so the goal is to finish filming this before he gets back. Then we're gonna go to a coffee shop and stuff. It is Sunday, it's sunny, it's like 50 degrees out in February in freaking Illinois. So we're feeling it today. We are feeling it. Handy dandy stitch mug at your service. If you were unaware, this is 2 years now. Is it 2 years now? 3 years now? Wait. When did I start my wrap-ups like this? I think it's just 2 years now that I've been doing my wrap-ups as the reread, rewrite, burn tag. So basically, fuck, marry, kill, but make it bookish. This is one of the original things I do on my channel. Really proud of my brain for coming up with this, as I basically combined the reread, rewrite, burn tag with the books I read by putting the titles of all the books I read on little slips of paper, throw them in this mug, mix it all up, pull them out 3 at a time, and then say what I would do with these books based on my ratings, based on relativity to the other books in the little chunk of 3. You get the gist. As with all my wrap-ups, we start with my monthly recap, so we're just gonna go right on into it. So January was, I think, the best reading month I've ever had. I'm not gonna lie. This is going freaking crazy. Okay, so I read 27 books in January and I felt fucking godly because I know that's like, you know, people have read more, but like never before seen on my channel, I'll tell you that much. So that was 5,808 pages. I read 11 BIPOC authors out of the 27, so not too bad. I always feel okay when I hit double digits in this category. Best book of the month, hands down, this gem right here. Can we just take a moment for me actually reading this the month it came out? Again, unheard of. Obviously 5 stars. Look at these gray tabs that match. I also have the red edition from Barnes & Noble. If you don't really read fantasy or dark academia or whatever, you might not know that this is the sequel to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It's one of my most highly anticipated. It's on my 23 books of 2023, and I'm just so glad it lived up to the hype, because there's another book in here that did not live up to the hype and was a very disappointing, highly anticipated book that I also read the month it came out, so that's cool, but we'll talk about that later. This is a positive moment. You know, it's a sequel, you can't really say much, but the first one is basically following Galaxy Stern, who can see ghosts, and she is, I think, given a full ride to Yale to join a secret society because they need her supernatural abilities. So then we follow her in this one as well, and they basically take care of what happens to Darlington in the first book. The transition from that book to this book is just seamless, it's immaculate, it's great. Galaxy Stern is always going to be one of my favorite characters of all time. She is such a badass. She has so many relatable moments, relatable qualities. Her banter with everyone and her attitude, her mindset about life, all of it is just perfect. I love her so much. As a character, I love the setting. A lot of this book does take place in hell, so amazing. And then there are a lot of things that I can't say because they're spoilery, but there are a lot of things that make an appearance in this book that did not make an appearance in the first book that I really enjoyed. This is rare for me to say, but I do think I like the sequel more than the first book, which rarely happens. The worst book, so it's a little thing. I got it from the library. Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire. I read this via audio. I did get the physical from the library as well, but I just didn't have time. It's a very short book. I gave that one 1 star. I read Every Heart a Doorway, I think last year or the year before. I just thought it was way too overhyped, but I maybe thought it was just the audiobook's fault. I was gonna try this one physically, could not get into it, so then I tried the audiobook again, and it didn't get better. People told me I was gonna like this one because it's like a Frankenstein Dracula retelling. There are like vampires in this one. I was like, sick. Okay, let me give the sequel a try, because especially after Hellbent, I was like, okay, then maybe I'll be a sequel girly. No, this just, why was the first 35% about these kids being born and why they're named the way they are, their conception? Why? I just didn't care. I was gonna say there was one scene that I remember, but I really really don't. I just remember how the beginning lasted throughout the majority of the book. Oh my god, it just felt so long for such a short book and like nothing happened. I just don't understand why this is a lot of people's favorite in the whole series, and it's like, what, like an 8-book series now, something like that? So beats the fuck out of me, but this is just not for me. Yeah, I don't think the series is for me. I'm gonna give up on it. It sucks because, you know, it would really up my Goodreads goal because they're such short books and they're super quick, but it just, I feel no joy reading these books. Okay, what's next on the recap? Oh my god, why did I not mention this? This is the first time ever that I completed an entire monthly TBR. Hold the applause. Yes, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I have 0 books left on my TBR for this one because I read all 10 and then some, obviously, because I read 27 books in January. I can't believe I didn't mention that. It was such a flex. I felt so fucking successful as a booktuber, as a reader. Like, it was just a very proud moment for me, okay? Granted, I did finish the last book on the very last day of January, but like, who cares? The point is I did it, okay? That was the highlight of the month. Another good thing about this month is I read 3 nonfiction books when my goal is 1 per month. So I read Hell's Princess, Finding Me, and Goodbye Things. Hell's Princess was true crime. I read it on my Kindle on KU, rated it 3 stars. Finding Me is a memoir by Viola Davis, and I gave that one 5 stars. Listened to that on audio. And then another audiobook, Goodbye Things. It's basically a book about minimalism, and I gave that one, I think, 5 stars as well. Yeah, Hell's Princess, I just wanted to get back on my true crime grind. Really enjoyed the overall story of the crime itself, but it's just the execution of the story from the author's lens, from the author's research points. I don't know. Like, a lot of it was redundant. The way it was organized and, like, I guess outlined, it was kind of like messy. But when he got to like the actual crime itself and telling what this woman did, the story of Belle Gunness and how she killed men basically to get their money, and then she like fakes her own death in this big fire. The author tells you how she did this and how it's like an ambiguous conclusion. She either faked her own death, she was still alive somewhere after that. So it was interesting. It was just, it could have been better written. Finding Me was perfect, flawless. The audiobook was great. She narrates it and her voice is just so captivating and so full of impact and power, and you just feel every emotion that she experienced in her difficult life before Hollywood. This memoir actually made me realize, like, I like hearing and reading about the celebrities or actors' stories before Hollywood. I don't like their career part of the memoir, if that makes sense. Like, even in Simu Liu's memoir, We Were Dreamers, like, I wasn't really interested in his journey to where his acting career is today. And that's the same thing with Viola Davis. Like, I liked her background, like learning about her childhood and growing up in poverty, and even though there were like rat scenes that made me want to crawl out of my skin, it was still really fucking good. You know, that's where all the emotions hit and everything. Yeah, just, I don't really care about like the Hollywood process. I've noticed that in a lot of books, like even My Body by Emily Ratajkowski, that one too. I just wanted to know about all the other stuff that didn't involve her modeling. So just a little tidbit about that. And then Goodbye Things I picked up because I was trying to purge my closet, make room for Joey, because you didn't know he moved in recently. I just needed that extra push to think a different way, be more okay with letting go of certain things. I said it in my vlog, but by no means did I pick this book up in hopes to become a minimalist, because I have no intention of becoming one at any point in life. It did its job and it was very well written, well translated. It was a translated work from Japanese, I believe. His points weren't too preachy. It was very anecdotal and really makes you shift your perspective when it comes to things you own. And then another one of my reading goals this year is to read at least 1 book on my Kindle, whether that's KU or from Libby or whatever. I did that with Hell's Princess as well as Bride of the Winter King. I don't remember the author's name. I picked this up on a whim because Jodie from Vanilla Moon made it one of her Patreon buddy read options. I looked it up and I was like, oh, sounds like a silly goofy time, and it definitely was. That's all it was. I gave it 3 stars. Essentially a Beauty and the Beast retelling meets Frozen. That's what I said in my vlog. I didn't know it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling going into it, and I used to love those, but now it's like really overdone, as a lot of people say. I say Frozen because it's, you know, the Winter King, it's a wintry setting, and basically the main character is taken by him to be his queen. It's Beauty and the Beast pretty much to a T, but make it like perpetually winter. There's literally a line that says like the cold never bothered him anyway or something like that, and I was like, oh my god. Alexa, play Let It Go. Yeah. you know? Like, that's Bride of the Winter King. And then I also want to try to participate in every month of the Buzzwordathon, as I do every year since I found out a couple years ago about Books and Lala's annual reading challenge. The buzzwords for this month were life or death. I read Death in Her Hands by Ottessa Moshfegh, gave this 4 stars. I was really enjoying it until the very end. This is more of a literary fiction as opposed to a thriller. It does have some thriller elements, but I really enjoyed being in this main character's head. She is this 70-something-year-old woman who finds a note in the woods about this girl named Magda, whose body, her name was Magda, nobody will ever know who killed her, it wasn't me, here is her dead body. And then there was no body. And then there's this dog scene that could be triggering, okay? And then there's this like twist that I thought was the twist, but then it got like into something else. And then also there was like a lot of religion talk that I didn't care for, especially towards the end. And then the very end was just like, what the fuck? So basically it's about this woman who is aging, and she talks about that. One of my patrons pointed out that it is comparable to themes in We Spread by Ian Reid, which y'all know was my #1 of 2022. You might not know that, but now you do. There's a lot of like existentialism in here, little tidbits about life. She talks about her dead husband and how he treated her and things like that. So this was really good. This was my first Ottessa Moshfegh. I do plan on reading pretty much everything this author writes. I own My Year of Rest and Relaxation as well as Eileen, and I do want to, you know, make my way through her backlist. So I really just wanted to binge it. It goes by so quickly despite the long chapters. Just keep that in mind. I did read a book over 500 pages. This is more of a loose goal. I just kind of have it to see if I read chunkier books, because I'm one to be very intimidated by longer books. Unless the chapters are really short, then I'm more inclined to pick it up, but otherwise, and I'm trying to change that this year especially, but I've always had this goal in my reading journal. But I did accomplish it this month with The Lincoln Highway. I read this for my Book of the Year nominees. It'll probably be up before this, so check that out if you haven't already. I read this mostly on audio, but I did follow along with it for a little bit. I gave this one 2 stars, I think. Yeah, which is really sad because it's such a big book. I'm definitely selling this on my Pango, so if you're interested, I'll have it at a discounted price on Pango. It is the Book of the Month edition. It was one of the Book of the Year nominees, like I said. So basically, this kid and his brother, I think their dad passed away, and then they have this farm or whatever, and then they're losing the property. So then they go on this road trip with their friends. I don't even remember what the objective was, but everyone in the reviews, why is this 20 minutes long already? Everyone in the reviews said that once they hit the road trip portion of the book, it gets really boring and slow and just pointless kind of. And I was like, no, I can push through, it's fine. The audiobook's all right. Yeah, no, I should have listened. If I didn't have the audiobook, I definitely would have DNF'd this. So thank you so much to Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages for providing me her Libby account. That was like the only Libby account out of all my patrons who had The Lincoln Highway available at their library at that time that I was reading this. Okay, you know what? Even though this is 20 minutes long, at least when I pull these books out from my little mug, I won't have to talk about them again. Okay? All right, let's start. So we have The Gathering Dark. This is a horror anthology, so it's by a bunch of different authors such as Chloe Gong, Erica Waters, Tori Bovalino, Hannah Witten, Allison Saff, etc. Really enjoyed that one. Then we have They Were Here Before Us by Eric LaRocca. I read this for my Unmuted and Unhinged sprints with Joey on Patreon. It's where we read horror novellas in one sitting basically, and y'all see us live react during a live show. Oh, also if you're interested in my Patreon, and it's always linked down below, we're called The Lair. We're vampire themed. Just a little shameless plug. And Hell's Princess, which I already talked about. I think I would burn Hell's Princess, and if I wanted to read about Belle Gunness, I would just pick up a different book. I would reread The Gathering Dark. This one I read for a 24-hour readathon for Patreon, so that's another perk of my Patreon. I do vlog my 24-hour readathons every month. The past 2 months, I stayed up for most of the time, if not all of the time, all of the 24 hours, so that was fun. For this one, I stayed up until 4 a.m. and I was supposed to stay up till 7. But anyway, I really enjoyed the story Truth or Dare. I related the most to that one. This is a folk horror anthology, and it definitely gives those vibes. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like not your gory, you know, slasher or paranormal type of horror. I really like the first story by Erica Waters as well. Yeah, Truth or Dare, I just never related to a short story that much until that moment. Like, if you've ever been in a situationship, that's your story. That one was written by Alex Brown. And that one was the second to last story. So I had a good time with this one. I would reread it for sure, and I would definitely reread Truth or Dare if I had to pick a story. So I give this one 4 stars. And then I would rewrite They Were Here Before Us, because there were a couple stories that either needed to be a little bit longer or just like a different way to write it. I don't know. I gave this one 5 stars though. The longest story, Bird and Bug Are Happy, was a little bit confusing until one of my patrons literally explained it to Joey and I, because we were both just as confused. So I think I would rewrite that story just to make it a little bit clearer, but you know, Eric LaRocca makes you think. So I appreciated it. It was a good time, and it had good stories about nature and love and how both are cyclic phenomena, the plural of phenomena, whatever, concepts. Yeah, I mean, Eric LaRocca never disappoints me, so this is no exception. The next 3, we have City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, because I'm making my way through the Cassie Clare universe, okay? I finally decided to, if you missed me saying this a billion times, but because I saw the cover of Chain of Thorns, it motivated me to finally embark upon this journey because I really want those books on my shelves. Black Paradox by Junji Ito, Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nevo. I think I would burn City of Glass. I don't need to read it again. I'm not a fan of the Mortal Instruments. Like, I regret not reading it when I was in the age range it was targeted towards, but I mean, I enjoyed the audiobook kind of. This is the second one. Yeah, so wait, no, is this the third one? I got it. I got the story. I enjoyed the humor, but I wouldn't read it again. The Mortal Instruments, if I had to pick one not to have on my shelves, it would be that series out of the Cassie Clare books, so I would burn that one. I did like Simon in it, and like I said, the humor, it did make me laugh a little bit every now and then, but it's very much YA, very much just young, and not my thing. But I have to get through the Mortal Instruments in order to get to the other books, right? Not really, but I want to. Out of these 2, I mean, I love Junji Ito, so I'd probably reread Black Paradox, even though it wasn't my favorite. I gave Black Paradox 3 stars. Oh, City of Glass I gave 2 stars. The second one, City of Ashes is the second one. Okay, so I'm on the third one. Everything I said about City of Glass, I meant to say for City of Ashes. City of Glass, I was just bored. Okay, but yeah, Black Paradox I would reread. Yeah, I mean, it's Junji Ito. I'd reread any of his books. And then Empress of Salt and Fortune I would rewrite. It's very allegorical. I'm still trying to figure out what I read, and I knew it was going to be confusing. I knew what I was going into. I listened to it on audio, so I was especially confused. I guess to make it a little bit more clear, I would rewrite it in that sense. Like I said, I knew what I was going into. Nevo is a very intelligent writer and includes a lot of metaphors in their writing. I'm definitely going to try to continue with this series because I looked up analyses of the text, so I know essentially what's going on and the meanings behind certain things. I can't even explain what I read, but it's the one with the bunny on the cover, and there's this person who serves this empress, and basically the underlying meaning of this book involves like the treatment of women and classism and things like that. Feminism too. I would rewrite it. I gave Empress of Salt and Fortune, I think, 3 stars. I'm talking way too long at this point. All right, the next 3, we've got Hellbent. We all know how I feel about her. Donuts and Doom, which is a cute-ass graphic novel that I gave 5 stars. And then The Nice House on the Lake, which is another graphic novel that I read for my 24-hour readathon. So obviously would reread Hellbent, would burn The Nice House on the Lake. That one, I was expecting paranormal haunted house, but I got like post-apocalyptic, or not even post-apocalyptic, just apocalyptic. Why did I give it 3 stars? I think I liked something about the ending, but I don't even know. Oh, I picked it up because it was on our like staff favorites of 2022 little booklet thing, and I'm trying to like make my way through that list just to see, because I'm curious. So I picked that up for my 24-hour readathon. And then Donuts and Doom I would rewrite. Let me see. I really like the art style of this. I didn't realize it was witchy, but I'm so glad it was. I would rewrite it by, I guess, just complicating the plot a little bit more. It was very much a cutesy graphic novel. Yeah, I mean, there's a sapphic relationship in there. There's this musician and then this witch. The witch accidentally curses the musician, musician with a donut, and then so she tries to fix it, and then they like start to like each other. And yeah, so I feel like I would want a little bit more development in the plot and everything, but for what it is and how cute it was and how pretty the art style was, the colorway was like pastel blues and pinks. Yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars, like I said. So next 3, trying to speed this up, we have And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, which is by Frederick Bachman. It's a novella that I read for my 24-hour readathon. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Where the fuck did I put it? Oh. And then The Gathering Dark. Lord, I loved all of these. Okay. Fuck. I'm gonna reread Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Oh, no, hold on. Didn't I already do this one? I already did this one. I put it down twice. Yeah, okay, scratch that. That helps my decisions a little bit. Hold on. Okay, we have Black Cake. That one I also read for the Book of the Year nominees. It's the only one that I got from the library, and I listened to most of it on audio. That makes it easier. I would burn Black Cake. I gave it 3 stars. I was so confused that I had to look up spoilers for this book. This was the one that I was least interested in just because I knew it involved like an inheritance of some sort, and in this case it was like this recipe for this cake. Just based on that, I was like, I don't know. I wasn't even gonna try to read it for this vlog, but I ended up doing it because the chapters are extremely fucking short. And honestly, that's what got me through this book and the audiobook. Audiobook was really good. I really enjoyed the beginning when we got the siblings' stories and how they converged and how they diverged. But then you get into the meat of the story, which is the mom's perspective, the mom's background before she dies. There are so many points of view, and I did hear that from Gabby Reads, and I've heard that from a lot of reviews I read too, that there's too many POVs. That makes it very convoluted and just confusing, and that's exactly what happened. So I looked up spoilers and I was like, really? Those are the twists? And then I was like, okay, decent twist. The writing was really good. My favorite perspective was, what the fuck's his name? It started with a B. There were like 3 characters that started with a B. I think it was Benny. I want to say it was Benny. I think that was the sister's name. I don't know, the brother's name. The brother's perspective was my favorite. There were definitely good discussions about race and family dynamics, feeling like an outsider and things like that. So there were some enjoyable moments in this book, but overall I was just not interested and I just wanted it to be over. I don't like family books usually anyway, so this just didn't really do it for me, but I still gave it 3 stars because of the few good parts of it, you know? Okay, I would reread And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. This is a very, very short novella. It was like 76 pages by Frederick Bachman, and I cried. I was sobbing because y'all know me and the death of significant others in books and movies and everything. It'll get me every time. And this was no exception. It's about this grandpa and the grandson, and they're just having like casual conversation, and obviously the grandpa's aging, so then he's telling the grandson what to do and what to say when his memory fails him in order to trigger memories, especially regarding his wife who passed away years ago. And then there are flashbacks to moments when he and his wife were 16 and in love and everything, and it was just so fucking cute, and I sobbed. Again, that was in my 24-hour readathon vlog, and yes, I vlogged myself sobbing, of course, because why wouldn't you? Did you really sob if you didn't vlog it? But yeah, I would reread that hands down. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I would also reread because there's so much to unpack in this book. Honestly, I'm gonna link Noelle's book club discussion for this because I was there the entire time in the chat, and I never stick around for live shows for the entire time. Like, it's rare for me to not leave midway through, take a break, come back type thing. But this, I was there, I was in it, I was engaged in the conversations, I was chatting it up. She and Steph from Stephanie Bookish really dove in and isolated a lot of this book. I tabbed like a maniac. I'm sure you've heard of this book one way or another. It's about these friends who start like a video game company, and it's all about like the process of making a video game and the ins and outs of all that, like the behind the scenes and everything. But then it's so much more than that too. I heard gaming and I was like turned off by it, but I was like, okay, it's for a vlog now, I'm going to read it, give it a chance. And I'm really glad I did. I gave it 5 stars. It is a 5-star book. Like, there's just so much about race and family and friendship and platonic relationships, discovering yourself and work-life balance. There's a forbidden romance in here. There's so much. There's so much. There's disability rep, biracial rep. There's a lot in this book, okay? I say rewrite because some parts did drag, okay? That's my only gripe about this book. Some parts did drag on. And then there's specifically this pioneers scene towards the end, if you know, you know, that I personally think should have been shorter. But then another part of me is like, okay, everything about this book is necessary to the overall thing. A lot of people people cry with this book. I'm really mad that I didn't cry. You really feel like you grow up with these characters, literally, because you follow them through years and years of their lives, and then these friends who drift apart and then find each other again and are toxic but then healthy at the same time. There's a lot. It's objectively a really fucking good book, and there's a reason why it was #1 book of the year for the book of the month nominees. Well deserved. The hype is definitely worth it. Brilliant, brilliant book. God, this wrap up is gonna be the death of me. All right. Stop. I knew I was like the death of me. Watch me pull Death in Her Hands next. I'm literally psychic. Where the fuck is that book? Let me just hold it up. Death in Her Hands by Ottessa Moshfegh. Then we have Horrid by Katrina, which was my book club pick for December, and I read it the first week of January, right before the live show with Joey. And then The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. 100% burn The Stolen Heir. This is so easy. Oh my god. Very much a disappointment. I will link my dedicated reading vlog down below. It's spoiler free, don't worry, but I gave this one 3 stars, and that's being generous. Really love the Folk of the Year trilogy. I'll link that vlog down below as well. You'll see my journey. I binged it in a weekend basically. And I was super excited for this. This is that disappointing, most anticipated release that I was talking about. I'm gonna keep it on my shelves because the day I bought it was the day I got recognized in public for the first time. Kat, if you're watching this, hello again. Huge moment for me, and now this has sentimental value because this is the book I was buying that night. I'm gonna keep it on my shelves. It was just very lackluster. Wasn't a fan of the characters. The beginning was kind of strong. It kind of had a similar prologue and beginning to The Cruel Prince. So I thought it was gonna be good, but yeah. And then towards the end, there were a few quotes that really hit, like I dog-eared. Like that's how much it hit, right? So that's what pushed it to 3 stars for me, despite me wanting to give it a 2 stars for the majority of the book. It follows Prince Oak and his little love interest, and he was just like a wannabe Carden. And I kept saying this throughout my vlog, but I just couldn't unsee him as a little boy with his little horns. And apparently he has goat legs, and a lot of people, I saw this like Twitter debate whether they stated that in the Folk of the Year trilogy or not, because everyone was just so confused and shocked that he had goat legs. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, by the way. It's pretty cute, but too bad the inside isn't as pretty. And then I would reread Horrid. I already reread it once. I would reread it again. This is one of my favorite books of all time. This is my favorite YA horror of all time. Katrina Leno's writing is really fucking eerie and atmospheric, and it's just so fast to read, trippy, and there's a lot of things going on. I really enjoyed this book. If you haven't read it already, it's about this girl. You'll find out in the first page that she eats books to cope with her like anger and anxiety basically. The dad dies. She moves to this town with her mom. She moves to this house that I think her mom inherited. They're new to this creepy small town, and everyone's talking about this house and how there's shit going down in it. And then she finds out little by little some secrets about her mom's past and about her own past, and then her friends tell her some like legends and rumors about this house that they moved into. It's really fucking good. I recommend it to everyone who wants like a creepy YA horror. Even if you don't like YA, I think you would like this if you want a silly, goofy, spooky time. This book is so near and dear to my heart, and Joey loved it too, and it was his first actual YA book and his first time on my book club, and it was a fun time. Death in Her Hands, I would rewrite the ending and the twist. Okay? Okay. The next 3, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, burn. The Alchemist, and then The Lincoln Highway. So I already burned Down Among the Sticks and Bones. Already had my rant about her. The Lincoln Highway I would rewrite. It could be just a lot shorter. I would just cut out like at least 200 pages. I would reread The Alchemist. I read this via audio. This is, you know, a modern classic. Basically, it was on my scratch off poster for 100 epic reads of a lifetime. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, so I got to scratch that off, so that was fun. I listened to it on audio. The audiobook was good. It's very fable-y. You just feel like you're gonna learn something after every page. I do want to read it physically at some point because I feel like it's a book that I would want to annotate because it has some notable quotes, but you know, I wasn't really fully paying attention because I read it on audio. Almost done, y'all. Next 3. Oh, I gave The Alchemist 3 stars, and that's one of the cases where I think I would like it more. It would be a higher rating if I read it physically. So we had With You Forever by Chloe Leese, Goodbye Things, and then Bride of the Winter King. I forgot the authors of those last 2. Burn Bride of the Winter King, reread Goodbye Things because it had good tips and tricks, and then With You Forever, I guess I had to rewrite in this scenario. I gave this one 4 stars. I think this is the 4th one in the Bergman Brothers series. I'm reading them out of order, so I don't remember. Is this the cabin one? I'm losing my mind. Yeah, I think this was the cabin one. The artist, the greyhound dog. That sounds right. I don't remember my gripes about this one. I really liked the first one in the Bergman Brothers. That's why I gave this one 4 stars, because it didn't hit as hard as the first one in terms of chemistry and humor and like writing in general and the scenarios that these characters were going through. But it did have chronic illness rep and autistic rep, if I'm remembering correctly. I guess I would just rewrite it to match the first one more, maybe develop the characters a little bit more. They're all Chloe Lisa's titles, besides the mistletoe motive, all mush together because they all just like rearrange certain words that mean the same thing. Check Please, that's the graphic novel about hockey. Man Fuck This House by Brian Asman, and ooh, I forgot about this one. A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. Would reread A Flicker in the Dark. I gave this one 5 stars. This is a 5-star thriller. I thought I knew what the twist was doing. Absolutely was so fucking wrong. And I love being wrong when it comes to thrillers, especially. I was blown out of the water with this book. So basically it's about a copycat serial killer. The dad is in prison because he was the serial killer from 20-something years ago. Basically, he targeted and killed teenage girls. Then you follow second timeline, present day, when there's another serial killer kind of doing the same thing with the same MO. This investigation takes place, and then the daughter of that dad who's in prison helps with the investigation because I think she is, I forgot what she does for a living. It was just so well done, well written. There's a lot of like feminism in here as well, and a lot of good social commentary throughout this book. Oh, I just turned to an annotation that says the similes in this book are unmatched. Yeah, I really like the writing. I can't wait to read her newest book, All the Dangerous Things, even though it's about a child missing, which is one of my least favorite tropes, but whatever. Really like this one, would reread it for sure, even though I know the twist. That's saying a lot when it comes to thrillers, because once you read a thriller, it's like, you know what happens, but I would still reread that. Man Fuck This House, I would rewrite, I think, to be a little more scary, put more horror elements in there. There was a lot of humor in this. I described this in my vlog as the movie Monster House, but make it adult and a little bit more creepy. I read this for my 12 Recs by 12 Friends, and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars, I believe. I didn't hate it, but I was expecting more. And then I would burn Check Please because I didn't like the douchey hockey players in it. Like, I feel like it was trying too hard to be like a frat boy type of environment. There were some cute moments, and I did swoon a little bit at some points because there were cute little scenes, and there were some funny quotes in there as well, like dialogue between certain characters. But overall, there were just too many douchebags in one little book. I think I will read the second one eventually if I just want a quick read, because the main character is a vlogger, he's a baker, he's like the runt of the litter in terms of the hockey team. So I like him, he's cute and quirky. Oh, and he's gay. I forgot to mention that. So it's like a coming of age, coming out story as well, but that's not like the main plot, you know? It's just who he is. I think the entire hockey team knows, I believe. So it's not like this big huge thing. The main thing is the hockey part of it, and like getting through being on a hockey team in college is what the main purpose of it is. There's a little bit of romance in there. There's some like coming of age moments where he talks about it and everything, but other than that, I mean, just a fun little graphic novel. So we have Always Only You by Chloe Liese, The Depths by Nicole Sprantz, and Finding Me by Viola Davis. I don't have the physical copies of any of these books. The Depths was my first book of the year, and I gave this one 3 stars. I think I would burn that one. I would never reread this again. I'm glad I didn't hate it as my first book of 2023, but it's fine. I mean, it has like nature horror. This girl is on this island. She almost dies because she's a diver. Her like video of her almost dying went viral. And then she can like communicate with ghosts on this island, and then she meets other people who have certain abilities. The motive behind her objective, I was just so confused about. I was like, why are you doing the most for these certain characters? I mean, I liked the writing, I liked the atmosphere and the eerie island vibes, but that's pretty much it about this book. And I'm really glad I didn't purchase it. I'm glad I listened to Tori from Tori Between Pages, who told me that you don't need to annotate this, you're just gonna be there for the vibes, and that's exactly what I was there for. And it delivered, but I wanted a decent plot too, but whatever. I would absolutely reread Finding Me. I would annotate a physical copy if I had it. Yeah, it was perfect. Always Only You, I would rewrite. I don't know how. I gave it 4 stars as well. I think Joey's here. I'm almost done though. 3, 2, 1. Hi.
Hi.
I'm still filming. I have like 5 more minutes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I gotta grab my...
Okay, careful. So this is the second one in the Bergman Brothers series, and it follows, I think he was a hockey player too, actually, and then the social media manager of the team. So they're the love interest, and I really enjoyed this one because it had rheumatoid arthritis rep, and I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I think the representation was very accurate. So I did appreciate that a lot. There's this thing you find out about the guy later on in the story that, you know, adds a lot to the story, and it just adds that much. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars. I think there were some parts that I was just like cringing at. I think that was the issue. So I'll probably rewrite those parts. But other than that, I really enjoyed this one. It just like wasn't as good as the first one either. Okay, last one is a wild card, so it could be anyone. It could be either reread, reread, or burn. Oh, it's The Stolen Heir. I would burn it. So yeah, wait! Okay, never mind. I already burned The Stolen Heir. Wow, I really hate that book, huh? I'm like, burn it to hell! That would make sense because I read 27 books and we did 9 rounds. I shouldn't have any extra. Wow, okay. Well, I don't know how I ended up with 2 doubles. I got carried away. But anyway, that's that. If you read any of these books, let me know what you agree with, disagree with. Let me know what you thought about certain books. I would love to know. Chat in the comments with me. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, I already used a rabbit emoji in my dedicated spoiler-free reading vlog, which I'll also link down below. It was the weekend that Joey moved in. So let's put like the fire emoji in the comments down below to represent hell, okay? Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope y'all had a great day. Stay safe, stay positive, and stay spooky always. And I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye!